guys, it's Kevin again, and in this video, we're going to be reviewing to the Tomorrow People Season 1, Episode 3, Girl Interrupted. I think out of the 3 episodes of the Tomorrow People that we've had so far, this was probably the best one. We got a lot of backstory on Cara, and we also had this storyline with Astrid and Steven, and this girl, Emily, and it also that ending scene makes a lot of conflict happen. I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen next. And I mean, a lot of these shows this week have been ending with really big cliffhangers, and I think that's really cool. So, this episode, it starts off where I want to talk about Cara's plot first, because in my opinion, Cara's plot was probably the most interesting part of this episode. We really found a lot more about Cara, what she was like, what she was capable of, and I really like seeing that. I'm going to call her Cara because they say Cara, but I'm just going to say Cara. Okay. But basically, the episode started off as a flashback to, 5 years ago, where Cara is at a school dance, and she goes off with this popular boy in the woods. The difference is that Cara was actually deaf when she was, in the past. She was deaf, and she was mute as well, so the boy's trying to talk to her and everything, but the boy basically tries to, as they say here, push Cara beyond her comfort level, and basically he tried to rape her, basically, and he tries to hurt her, and she's able to propel him back with her powers, and then she passes out. So that's how it started. Then we see another scene that's like that scene, but it's in the present, where we see Cara is unnerved and hears thoughts on the subway. So I really like seeing it because we got to see what she was like in the past and what she's like now. I definitely like seeing that. Then after this, we get to a similar scene to the first scene, because now we get to another party scene, but this time it's a modern scene in the present, where we see Astrid and Steven. They're at a party, and Steven shows off his questionable dance skills and everything, and Steven overhears the thoughts of this girl, Emily, and because, he can read minds and everything, and basically he hears that she is planning her death out, and it's a very questionable thing to him. He doesn't know what's going on exactly. And, that was the other plot of the episode. But, you can't really say there were 2 different plots because they both were kind of like the same thing. But, it was basically pretty much the same thing. The most important thing we saw after this, though, was that we saw that Jedediah, had been removing this breakout power, where basically, instead of killing him, you sedate you sedate them, and it takes away their powers. Then we see that the Tomorrow People wanted Steven to hook up their computer, Tim, to Ultra so they can monitor breakouts. Cara refuses to help Steven's friend Emily, as she's now want them to intervene in human affairs or help them, basically. That's what was going on there. She did not want him to help her. Basically, after this, we see that Steven is basing this biome tricks by Agent Darcy Nichols. She's trying to teach him to control his powers by using his emotions, and using Cara's telepathic help, Steven breaks into the restricted area to get to the computer's mainframe, and Cara's ability to read people's minds tends to overwhelm her as she gets surrounding noise, letting Steven get caught by Jedediah. Here we get, probably the biggest scene. Well, not yet, but later, this thing with the sedate is very, very important, and I'll get to it later, but there's something very important that happens and very big. So then we see that Steven reaches out to Jedediah to get his advice on Emily with no luck, and when Steven leaves, Jedediah orders a sweep of Ultra's headquarters. As he is still suspicious of his nephew, Steven lies to John about Cara's help as she confesses that she was overwhelmed. Then we get another flashback, and we see that Cara is under arrest for the murder of Tyler, the boy who attempted to rape her, and frantically signs to her father, who vows to protect her. Using her newly discovered powers, Cara teleports out of jail back home. So then Astrid, we see another scene in the present where Astrid actually approves of Steven trying to help Emily, while John probes Cara into telling him what's wrong with no luck, and Emily refuses Astrid and Steven's help and feels guilty over her sister's death. Emily was behind the wheel driving her sister when a train hit the car and killed her sister. So Steven faces off with Cara and joins John over wanting to help Emily, as Cara does not think humans are worth saving. After an alert from Ultra's mainframe, the Tomorrow People rush off to a breakout in the industrial port area of town. It turns out to be a setup, and Ultra Agent Darcy is the ruse. As Russell and John fight Ultra Agents, Darcy transports Cara back to headquarters. Here we get, this is where I was going to say the biggest scene of the episode, basically. And it was between basically Cara and Steven. And basically, John blames himself for letting Cara go up, as is the 5-year anniversary of the attempted rape. Steven goes to Ultra, where Jedediah confronts him about the flash drive without any new answers. Jedediah threatens to kill Cara. Although he is impressed by her telepathic abilities. So basically, Steven is told by John that Steven asked him to save Cara's life and basically take away her powers, framing it as a way to impact John. And as I said, this is the biggest scene in the episode. Steven states that John will not love her anymore if she's human. And as Steven tries to inject Cara, she pleads for him to kill her instead. But he still injects her. It looks like he injects her. We see this thing fall. We see that she's, with the biggest scene, very intense scene. She's kind of like, no, don't do this to me and everything. And after this, though, on the subway ride home, we actually found out that he stopped time and actually injected her with saline instead. So he did not actually take away her powers. Her powers are still there. I think this is going to create major conflict for the show. Eventually, someone's going to find out that she did not have her powers taken away. It's either going to be, John or someone else from Ultra. They're going to find out that he did not take her powers away. And it's definitely going to create a lot of conflict. And I think that was a very big scene. And I'm very happy about that because I thought that was really, really just big scene. Probably one of the biggest scenes of the episode. So then John and Cara share a tender moment and he's glad to see her, while Astrid calls Steven frantic over Emily's disappearance. Steven figures out that Emily is planning on being hit by a train and rushes her to save her. Luckily, Cara offers to help in order to save Steven from exposing himself and his powers, and Cara talks Emily down from suicide, while Astrid looks on bewildered by the Tomorrow People's abilities. So Emily returns home, and then she's embraced by her parents, and Cara and Steven look on. Then we get the other big scene in the episode, where Cara basically actually shares a memory of her father, telling her to learn to have a life, and she basically is sharing this with Steven, and she basically says, I have to show you something, and she shows him this memory. And we basically found out that this is when she started to be able to hear things. And she, opened the door and everything. Her father answers and she says, Dad, I can hear. And he's not happy about this. He basically tells her, oh, you want a life? Then get out of this house right now. And so he kicked her out, basically, and that's the only memory she has left of him. That's the last memory she has of him. And it's kind of similar to the thing with Steven not wanting to remember the memory of his father, the thing of his father. It's kind of like reverse of that. Steven's father really cared about him. Cara's father just did not approve of her hearing. He wanted her to stay deaf. I don't think he could handle it. I think that's what it was. I think it's just that he could not handle her being able to hear. He just could not handle it. And I think that's what it is. So eventually I think she's also going to try to find her father, and Steven's trying to find his father. I think that's what's probably going to happen here. So, basically, do you think this means that Cara shared something with Steven and not John? Because it seems like John, she didn't share this with, but she shared this with Steven. But we'll have to see. So, then we get to the part where Steven tries to convince Cara that they are meant to use their abilities to help others rather than hide. And then Astrid confronts Steven about his powers, and as he lies to her face, basically, she asks, oh, so why were you at the train station and everything? And he basically, says everything with, you were at the train station 1 minute and then you were gone. And then we get this big scene with her basically saying, I'm on to you, and you can deny all you want, but I'm just going to keep researching everything. And that's how the episode ended. So now we have 2 big things here to worry about. One, Steven did not take away Cara's powers. This is going to create major conflict for a lot of people because he was told to take away her powers and he did not. And 2, now Astrid is on to Steven, and they're no longer friends anymore, and we're going to have to see what she wants to do, what's going on here. And I really like this episode because we really got to find out a lot more about Cara. Yes, it didn't really continue the Steven trying to find his father thing, but it was similar to that because we got to see the difference between Cara's father and Steven's father. And I really like that. So yeah, this episode was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it, and it was a really great episode. that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode. What do you think is gonna happen with Astrid? What is she gonna do to, that she's on to Steve and everything? How is she gonna find out all the truth about this stuff? What's gonna happen now that Steven did not take away Cara's powers? What's gonna happen to that? Do you think that Steven, though, Cara's also gonna try to find her father? What do you think? That's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.